Good morning, warriors. Ready to break your limits today. Welcome to Push the Limit. We are here to unleash your power. Let us start. Do you know what truly separates a winner from a loser? It's not talent, luck, or circumstances. It's something far more powerful and within your control. As I write this, millions of people are waking up to another day of quiet desperation, trapped in lives they never consciously chose. They're drowning in comfort, suffocating in excuses, and watching their dreams fade like distant stars. But you're here reading this, which means something inside you refuses to accept that fate. That spark of defiance, that whisper of ambition, that's where transformation begins. I'm here to share with you the unfiltered truth about what it takes to build a winner's mindset. This isn't about empty motivation or feel-good platitudes. This is about the raw, practical psychology of champions, the mental frameworks that separate those who achieve from those who merely dream. We'll explore the mindset that drove legends like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and countless others who refused to settle for ordinary. More importantly, we'll build a blueprint for your own transformation, one that you can implement starting today. Before we dive into strategies and tactics, we need to understand the fundamental difference between how winners and losers think. Winners operate from a completely different mental operating system. They don't just think positive thoughts or visualize success, they restructure their entire psychological framework around achievement. The average person wakes up reactive. They check their phone, let the world's agenda flood their consciousness, and spend their day responding to external demands. Winners wake up proactive. They've already decided what matters before the world gets a vote. This isn't about morning routines, it's about mental sovereignty. Winners understand that if you don't program your mind, the world will program it for you. Think about Kobe Bryant's famous Mamba Mentality. It wasn't just about basketball, it was a complete psychological system. When asked about his 4 a.m. workouts, Kobe didn't talk about discipline or motivation. He talked about gaining an advantage while his competition slept. That's winner psychology, seeing every moment as an opportunity to separate yourself from the pack. The most fundamental shift in developing a winner's mindset is accepting radical ownership of your life. This goes beyond taking responsibility. It means understanding that you are both the problem and the solution to everything in your life. Winners don't waste energy on blame, even when blame is justified. They ask one question: what can I control? I learned this lesson the hard way. Years ago, I found myself in a situation where I had every right to feel victimized. Business partners had betrayed me, circumstances had turned against me, and by any objective measure, I had been wronged. I spent months dwelling on the injustice, building a case for why my situation wasn't my fault. And I was right, it wasn't my fault. But being right didn't change anything. Being right didn't pay my bills, rebuild my business, or move me forward. That's when I realized that fault and responsibility are two different things. It might not be your fault, but it's always your responsibility. Winners understand this distinction. They know that life isn't fair, that bad things happen to good people, that sometimes you get dealt a terrible hand. But they also know that dwelling on fairness is a luxury they can't afford. Every moment spent on blame is a moment not spent on building. Every ounce of energy given to resentment is energy stolen from achievement. Radical ownership means looking at every problem and asking, how did I contribute to this? Even when the answer is, I didn't, the follow-up question remains the same. What will I do about it? This isn't about self-blame or accepting abuse. It's about power. The moment you take ownership, you take control. The moment you take control, you can create change. Comfort is the enemy of growth. This isn't just a motivational cliche, it's a biological reality. Your brain is designed to seek comfort and avoid pain. This served our ancestors well when comfort meant safety from predators. But in our modern world, comfort has become a trap. The comfort zone isn't where you're safe, it's where you're dying slowly. Winners have a different relationship with discomfort. They don't just tolerate it, they seek it out. They understand that growth happens at the edge of their capabilities, in that space where they're not quite sure they can succeed. Kobe Bryant didn't just practice until he was tired, he practiced until his body screamed for mercy, then pushed through that barrier to find what lay beyond. But here's the key. Productive discomfort isn't about suffering for its own sake. It's about strategic stress that forces adaptation. When you lift weights, you're literally tearing muscle fibers. The growth happens during recovery when those fibers rebuild stronger. The same principle applies to every area of life. Mental discomfort, tackling problems that strain your intellect, builds cognitive strength. Emotional discomfort, having difficult conversations, facing your fears, builds psychological resilience. The question isn't whether you'll face discomfort. Life guarantees that. The question is whether you'll choose your discomfort or let it choose you. Winners make this choice consciously. They wake up early when sleeping in would be easier. They have the hard conversation instead of avoiding conflict. They take on the challenging project instead of the safe one. They understand that voluntary discomfort builds the strength to handle involuntary discomfort when it arrives. Perhaps no concept separates winners from losers more starkly than their relationship with failure. Losers see failure as proof of their inadequacy. Winners see failure as data. This isn't about positive thinking or reframing, it's about practical intelligence. Every failure contains information that success cannot provide. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school 3 times. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first television job for being unfit for TV. These aren't feel-good stories about persistence. They're case studies in using failure as fuel. Each rejection provided information: what wasn't working, what needed improvement, what assumptions were wrong. Winners develop what I call failure intelligence, the ability to extract maximum learning from minimum suffering. When they fail, they conduct an after-action review. What exactly went wrong? Which factors were in their control? What would they do differently? This isn't dwelling or self-flagellation, it's mining for gold in the wreckage. But here's what most people miss. Winners don't just learn from their own failures. They study the failures of others. They read biographies, analyze case studies, and seek out stories of defeat. Why? Because learning from others' failures is free education. You get the lesson without paying the price. This is efficiency at its finest, gaining wisdom without the scars. The practical application is simple but not easy. Next time you fail, resist the impulse to immediately move on or wallow in self-pity. Instead, treat it like a crime scene. Gather evidence. Interview witnesses, including yourself. Reconstruct the sequence of events. Identify the critical decision points. Extract the principles. Document the lessons. Then, and only then, move forward armed with intelligence that your competition lacks. Your environment is either building you or breaking you. There's no neutral ground. Winners understand that willpower is finite, but environmental design is infinite. They don't rely on motivation or discipline alone, they architect their world to make winning inevitable. This starts with your physical environment, your workspace, your home, your daily routes. Every physical space is programming your behavior. Winners eliminate friction between themselves and their goals. If they want to work out, their gym clothes are laid out the night before. If they want to eat healthy, junk food doesn't enter their house. They understand that every decision requires mental energy, so they pre-make as many decisions as possible through environmental design. But physical environment is just the beginning. Your social environment. The people you spend time with is even more crucial. Jim Rohn's famous quote that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with isn't just folklore, it's psychological fact. Your brain has mirror neurons that unconsciously mimic the behaviors, attitudes, and even the ambitions of those around you. Surround yourself with losers, and you'll unconsciously adopt their patterns. Surround yourself with winners, and excellence becomes contagious. This doesn't mean cutting off everyone who isn't successful. It means being intentional about your inner circle. Who do you go to for advice? Who do you spend your discretionary time with? Who has access to your mental space through calls, texts, And social media winners audit their social circle regularly, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. They understand that maintaining the wrong relationships is like trying to drive with the parking brake on. The digital environment is the modern battlefield for your mind. Your information diet determines your mental health as much as your food diet determines your physical health. Winners don't consume information randomly. They curate it. They follow people who challenge them, subscribe to sources that educate them, and ruthlessly eliminate digital noise. They understand that in an attention economy, distraction is theft. Every moment spent on meaningless content is a moment stolen from meaningful progress. In a world of infinite distractions, focus has become a superpower. Winners don't just concentrate, they obsess. But this isn't unhealthy fixation. It's strategic monomania, the ability to subordinate everything to a single, overwhelming priority. Kobe Bryant didn't just play basketball, he studied it with the intensity of a PhD candidate. He watched game film for hours, analyzed opponents' tendencies, and rehearsed scenarios mentally before physically. When asked about balance, he was blunt: balance is for people who don't know what they want. This isn't advice to neglect all other areas of life. It's recognition that extraordinary achievement requires extraordinary focus. The enemy of focus isn't just distraction, it's dilution. Most people spread themselves across too many goals, too many projects, too many ambitions. They're an inch deep and a mile wide. Winners go a mile deep and an inch wide. They understand that you can do anything, but not everything. More importantly, they understand that doing one thing with obsessive focus creates compound returns that doing 10 things adequately never will. But how do you develop this kind of focus in a world designed to scatter your attention? First, you must choose. Not just what to focus on, but what to ignore. Winners maintain a not-to-do list that's longer than their to-do list. They say no to good opportunities to say yes to great ones. They understand that every yes is a no to something else, so they guard their yes zealously. Second, you must eliminate rather than optimize. Most people try to do more things better. Winners do fewer things with greater intensity. They don't manage their time, they manage their attention. They don't multitask, they monotask with ferocity. They understand that partial attention is complete waste. Third, you must protect your focus like a valuable resource, because it is. Winners create systems and boundaries that guard their concentration. They have sacred hours where they're unreachable. They batch similar tasks to avoid context switching. They understand that focus isn't just about what happens during work, it's about what happens before and after. They protect their mental space as carefully as a goalkeeper protects the net. Ideas are worthless without execution. Dreams are fantasies without action. Winners understand that the gap between knowing and doing is where most people live and die. They don't just plan, they execute. They don't just execute, they execute relentlessly with a consistency that borders on obsession. The difference between winners and losers isn't in the quality of their ideas or even the grandness of their vision. It's in their execution velocity, how quickly they move from thought to action. While others are perfecting their plans, winners are perfecting through action. They understand that a good plan executed today beats a perfect plan executed never. But relentless execution isn't about frantic activity. It's about sustained, directed effort toward a clear objective. Winners understand the difference between motion and progress. Motion is busy work that feels productive. Progress is focused work that creates results. They measure their days not by hours worked, but by progress made. This requires a fundamental shift in how you approach action. Most people wait until they feel ready. Winners act their way into feeling ready. Most people wait for motivation. Winners know that action creates motivation, not the other way around. Most people wait for perfect conditions. Winners understand that conditions are never perfect and that waiting for perfection is procrastination in disguise. The practical application starts with what I call the 2-minute momentum rule. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. Don't add it to a list. Don't schedule it. Don't think about it. Do it. This isn't about productivity, it's about building an execution reflex. Every immediate action strengthens your bias toward doing rather than delaying. Resilience isn't about being tough, it's about being adaptive. Winners don't just endure setbacks, they evolve through them. They understand that rigidity breaks under pressure, while flexibility bends and survives. This isn't about compromising your goals, it's about being intelligent in your approach. Mike Tyson famously said, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." Winners expect to get punched in the mouth. More importantly, they have a plan for after they get punched. They understand that the initial plan is just a hypothesis. Reality will test it, break it, and force adaptation. The question isn't whether your plan will survive contact with reality, it won't. The question is whether you will. Adaptive resilience requires what I call strong opinions loosely held. Winners are decisive and committed, but not stubborn. They change their tactics while maintaining their vision. They pivot their methods while preserving their mission. They understand that flexibility in approach combined with inflexibility in purpose is the formula for inevitable success. This shows up in how winners handle feedback. While losers defend their ego, winners defend their growth. They seek out criticism, especially from people who have achieved what they're pursuing. They understand that feedback is data, and data is valuable regardless of how it's delivered. They can separate the message from the messenger, the content from the tone, the lesson from the lecture. Now let's get tactical. How do you actually build these pillars into your daily life? It starts with your morning, not because mornings are magical, but because they're controllable. Before the world imposes its agenda, you have a window to impose yours. Winners don't just have morning routines, they have morning rituals designed to stack victories before most people hit snooze. Here's the blueprint, but remember, this isn't about copying someone else's routine. It's about building your own system based on proven principles. 4, Eozu 04, 30 a.m. The Awakening Protocol. Set your alarm across the room. This forces physical movement, breaking sleep inertia. Don't check your phone, don't check email, don't let the world in yet. This is your time. Start with movement. Not exercise, just movement. Stretch, walk, do light calisthenics. You're not trying to exhaust yourself, you're trying to awaken yourself. Your body has been horizontal for hours. Make it vertical with intention. 4:30 to 5:00 a.m. The Mind Forge. Before you strengthen your body, strengthen your mind. This isn't meditation for relaxation, it's meditation for preparation. Sit with your thoughts, review your goals, visualize not just success, but the work required for success. See yourself doing the hard things, feel the discomfort, and choose it. This mental rehearsal primes your brain for the challenges ahead. Write your intentions for the day, not tasks, intentions. What kind of person will you be today? How will you show up? What will you choose when choice gets hard? Writing crystallizes thought. Thought crystallizes action. Action crystallizes character. 5:06 a.m. The Physical Edge. Now you train. Not exercise train. There's a difference. Exercise is movement for its own sake. Training is preparation for battle. Choose something that challenges you. If you're a runner, sprint. If you're a lifter, lift heavy. If you're a fighter, fight shadows. The specific activity matters less than the intensity. You're building physical resilience that translates to mental resilience. Push past comfort every single session. Find your edge and lean over it. When your mind says, stop, do 5 more. When 5 more seems impossible, do 2 more. You're not just building muscle or endurance, you're building the habit of exceeding your own expectations. 6:00 to 6:30 a.m. The Fuel Protocol. Your body is a machine. Fuel it like one. No sugar crashes, no empty calories, no processed garbage. Protein for building complex carbs for sustained energy, healthy fats for brain function. Hydrate aggressively. Your brain is 75% water. Dehydration is cognitive decline. Winners don't eat for taste, they eat for performance. But nutrition isn't just physical. Feed your mind deliberately. Read something that challenges you. Listen to something that educates you. Consume content that contributes to your growth, not your entertainment. You have 18 hours ahead. Invest 30 minutes in making those hours more effective. 6:30, 7:00 a.m. The launch sequence. Review your priorities. Not your to-do list, your priorities. What are the 3 things that, if accomplished today, would make everything else easier or unnecessary? Write them down. Schedule them first. Protect them ruthlessly. Everything else is negotiable. These 3 are not. Rehearse your power statements. These aren't affirmations, they're declarations. Stand up, look yourself in the eye, and state with conviction, I create value before I capture value. I do what must be done, especially when I don't feel like it. I am building something bigger than my excuses. Discomfort is my teacher, not my enemy. I earn my confidence through preparation. I respond to setbacks with intelligence, not emotion. Today's disciplines are tomorrow's freedoms. I am becoming who I need to be to have what I want to have. Say them until you believe them. Believe them until you become them. While mornings set the tone, evenings determine tomorrow's trajectory. Winners don't just end their days, they complete them. They review, learn, and prepare. This isn't about working 24/7. It's about being intentional with transition from one day to the next. What were my 3 biggest wins today? What were my 3 biggest lessons? What would I do differently? What progress did I make toward my goals? Who did I serve today? What am I grateful for? What's the one thing I must accomplish tomorrow? Write the answers. Writing forces clarity. Clarity enables improvement. Improvement compounds into transformation. Knowledge without application is merely entertainment. Everything you've read means nothing unless you act. But transformation doesn't happen overnight, it happens over time through consistent application of principles. Here's your 90-day blueprint for building an unshakable winner's mindset. Days 1 to 30, foundation building. Focus on one pillar at a time. Week 1, practice radical ownership. Week 2, seek productive discomfort daily. Week 3, reframe every failure as data. Week 4, audit and adjust your environment. Don't try to master everything at once. Depth beats breadth in the beginning. Days 31-60, integration and intensification. Now layer the pillars. Combine ownership with execution. Mix focus with resilience. You're not just practicing concepts, you're building a system. Track your progress. Measure what matters. Adjust what isn't working. Double down on what is. Days 61-90, acceleration and automaticity. By now, winners' habits should be forming. The morning ritual should feel natural. The evening review should be non-negotiable. You're not thinking about these practices, you're living them. This is where acceleration happens. You're no longer pushing the boulder. Momentum is carrying it. Let me be direct with you as we conclude. This journey isn't for everyone. Most people will read this and do nothing. They'll feel inspired for a day, maybe a week, then slide back into comfortable mediocrity. That's not judgment, it's statistics. The question is, will you be a statistic or an exception? The winner's mindset isn't built through consumption, it's built through application. Every principle I've shared has been tested in the arena of life. Not by me alone, but by thousands who've chosen to reject average and embrace extraordinary. They're not special. They're not gifted. They're just decided. Kobe Bryant's last game, he scored 60 points. His body was broken, his athleticism diminished, but his mindset was intact. That's the power of what we're talking about. When talent fades, when circumstances challenge, when luck abandons you, mindset remains. It's the only thing completely within your control and the only thing you truly need. I want to leave you with this thought somewhere right now. Someone with less talent than you, fewer resources than you, more obstacles than you is outworking you. They're not outworking you because they're better. They're outworking you because they've decided to. They've chosen discomfort over comfort, growth over stagnation, action over excuse. You have the same choice. Not tomorrow, right now. This moment. As you finish reading this, you stand at a crossroads. One path leads back to comfort, to excuses, to a life of quiet desperation, punctuated by moments of regret. The other path leads through difficulty to triumph, through struggle to strength, through the temporary pain of discipline, to the permanent satisfaction of achievement. The winner's mindset isn't a destination, it's a decision. A decision you make every morning when comfort calls. A decision you make every time failure knocks you down. A decision you make when everyone else chooses easy and you choose effective. It's not one big decision, it's 1,000 small decisions that compound into an extraordinary life. So here's my challenge to you: don't just read this, live it. Start tomorrow morning at 4:00 a.m. Feel the resistance and do it anyway. Build your ritual. Face your discomfort. Execute relentlessly. Not because I told you to, but because you've decided that average isn't enough anymore. Because you've decided that your potential deserves more than your excuses. Because you've decided to join the ranks of the few who do, rather than the many who dream. The clock is ticking. Your life is waiting. Your potential is calling. Will you answer? Will you step up? Will you become who you're capable of becoming? The choice is yours. The time is now. The only question left is, are you ready to win? Remember, winners aren't born, they're built. Built through daily decisions, consistent actions, and relentless commitment to growth. You have everything you need to start building today. The blueprint is in your hands. The tools are at your disposal. The only missing ingredient is your decision to begin. Make that decision now. Your future self will thank you. Your dreams deserve it. And deep down beneath the fear and doubt and comfortable excuses, you know you're ready. You've always been ready. You just needed someone to remind you that winners don't wait for permission, they give it to themselves. Welcome to the winner's mindset. Welcome to your transformation. Welcome to the life you were meant to live. Now stop reading and start doing. Your journey begins now.